Well, Phillies and so media sure did celebrate a big milestone this past week. What is going on, everybody? Welcome to Phillies Heads of Media, and today we're going to have our 12th weekly update of the offseason. As we're going to talk about some Phillies news, some all-around baseball news, and I got some before getting into this video. Please subscribe if you have not yet. Please don't forget about. Please like this video, comment on this video, share this video, and let's get into this. So a busy week, during a lockout, right? Definitely a big milestone for Phillies Hats to Media. 3 years of that. We'll talk about that when the time comes. A lot to get into here in the 12th weekly update of the offseason. First topic we're kicking it off with today is with the Phillies DH possibilities, right? And Alec Bohm currently right now over at third base, and DH inevitably going to come to the National League. That is one thing during the CBA negotiations that the owners and the players are agreeing on, is having a universal DH both in the American League and in the National League as well. It's pretty much a thing in the past to be seeing pitchers hit. And I think that's honestly for the best, right? Prevent some injuries. It does definitely change the strategy of the game. But ultimately, I think it makes it more fair. So I was originally against it, and now I am for it. Alec Bohm, right? We all know how bad his defense is, and he kind of had an off year. Of course, he never was a good defender, even in his rookie campaign in 2020, where he was a finalist for the National League Rookie of the Year, which he did not win, of course. But he definitely had a down 2021 season, right? Offensively, and of course, I'm not even going to say, of course, he was, terribly defensively as well. But as I said, as expected, right, he's not a good defender. But Alec Bohm, I fully expect, for him to bounce back at the plate in 2022. We have Kevin Long as the hitting coach. I fully expect to have him get back into stride. I fully expect him to go back to the level he was at in 2020, right? With that simple approach, right? I would like to see him, though. I always praise that simple approach, but I would like to see him hit the ball over the wall more, right? I would like to see that. And also, he needs to start pulling the baseball more. It's funny, because I always talk about these big power hitters, and Alec Bohm's, of course, not a power hitter, but I always talk about guys like Rhys Hoskins. He hits the ball too much to left field. He hits the ball too much to left field. He needs to hit the ball more to right field. I'm going to say the opposite about Alec Bohm. He pokes everything in away way too much, right? Everything is poked the other way out to right field. He needs to try to pull the baseball, and that will increase his power. It feels weird to be saying that, and I think Alec Bohm would be a great candidate for the Phillies DH spot. Simply because he is the worst defender on this roster, right? Everybody wants to talk about Kyle Schwarber, and yes, I think he'd be a good DH sometimes, but ultimately, Alec Bohm's defense is the worst, by far in any guy in this team, and he needs to be the predominant DH, right? I'm just going to say that. I mean, of course, you're going to throw Rhys in there sometimes, who's also a bad defender over at first base, absolutely. You're going to throw Bryce Harper in there, August and September, because, his back is kind of getting sore because he has so much just torque and violence in that swing that he needs to kind of, take a break from, a Sunday finale. You're going to DH him, down in Miami. I could definitely see that happening. I'm going to put JT in there, as I said, around that same time, August and September. Because listen, catchers, their knees really get tired down there, right? And, this is kind of give him a break from being behind home plate, but you could still have his bat in the lineup. Absolutely. I think Alec Bohm should be, your DH most of the time. I really do. I think he should be the DH. I think that's where he needs to be. Such an advantage to have a DH now. We saw in the short 2020 season, I think it needs to be made permanent. I think you need to do away with the pitcher setting. I think, of course, they're going to. So it's like a 99% chance. Also, report, this past week coming from the Bleacher Reports. So the Phillies are ranked as the second potential landing spot for free agent right fielder Nicholas Castellanos. So I'm not sure how I feel about this. And everybody's saying like, I want him, oh my goodness gracious, he'd be great for this team. I'm like one of the outsiders. I do not think that the Phillies should stay away for Nick Castellanos. Do I think he's a really great player? Absolutely. He could hit for power, and, he's a great guy to have in your team, but we need to invest in the pitching. These fans don't understand it. They keep thinking that we just keep going on to more offense. That's just going to magically solve our problem. This is not the Los Angeles Angels, right? This is not the Los Angeles Angels. And if you sign Nicholas Castellanos, you are making a Los Angeles Angels type move. That is all I'm saying. Just more offense. Of course, would I love Didi Gregorius to be gone? Absolutely. No team's going to want to take on $14 million. No team is going to want to take on $14 million for a caliber player of Didi Gregorius. No one is going to want to do that. And, you couldn't blame the Phillies at the time for signing that 2-year deal because he had a great 2020 season, and he definitely could have that, somewhat, same 2020 season here in 2022. I could definitely see him bouncing back. Nick Castellanos, hopefully he does not come here, right? I mean, would, cost the Phils, one of their draft picks since he opted out of his contract with Cincinnati Reds. It's not a good move. It would not be a good move. So it would definitely paralyze you. And let me just make this clear. If a new CBA is agreed on that somewhat benefits the owners with the luxury tax, and they kind of change the rules, and it has more flexibility because John Middleton has money, right? Of course, he is cheap, but he has money, and maybe it could work, right? Maybe it could work, but I just don't see that happening. I think there's going to be a player-type friendly CBA deal. I mean, of course, if that's just my opinion, but who knows? The bottom line is focus on pitching. I've been saying it all along. Please listen. Also, Dave Dombrowski this past week signed 2 international free agents. The first was Lou Helming, a native of Germany, and the second one was Australian Nikio Pukeata Grego. So the Phils, making some international signings, right? You saw that. I mean, even last week when they signed William Bargola Jr., so they signed another 2 international free agents. So I like to see that. I like to see that, right? Trying to, get younger guys. Of course, I always say, every single time I talk about reports like this, I always, try to bring up, hey, you might not ever hear this guy's name again. And that is very, very, very possible. But hopefully we hear these guys' names again, right? Also this past week, an interesting quote from former Phillies closer Jonathan Papelbon that was traded to the Washington Nationals in July of 2015 in exchange for Nick Pivetta, who is now a member of the Boston Red Sox. And he said, very interesting, that the Phillies were the, quote, best team I played for. Unquote. And that's very interesting. This is a guy that was a member of the 2007 Boston Red Sox who won a World Series championship. He's saying that. Now, going into the 2012 season, of course, Ryan Howard, had that, devastating Achilles injury, but the Phillies were still somewhat competitive. I mean, no question on paper. Of course, you had the young up-and-coming Nationals. The Braves were, getting good around that time. Of course, they had the Upton brothers and Freddie Freeman, and relatively competitive. Of course, in 2013 they won the division, the Atlanta Braves. But the Mets were, getting a lot of young players. They were going to be good. So the Phillies' reign was coming to an end here, heading into the 2012 season. But the Phillies were not a terrible team heading into 2012 on paper. And I think that's what Jonathan Papelbon is saying. Going in, to the 2012 season, coming off of a 2011 regular season, the Phillies won the most regular season games in franchise history. Jonathan Papelbon giving his opinion there. He's not very popular throughout baseball. He's not very popular, definitely in the city, the DC Strangler. And he's just Washington Nationals when he choked Bryce Harper. In September 2015, after not running out that pop-up. Remember, he popped out to Jeff Francoeur for Dani Arena-Rosa. And then he was, choked in the dugout and had to be separated. I think that's why then Nationals manager Matt Williams lost his job. And speaking of the Washington Nationals, Massa Nationals, Mid-Atlantic Sports Network, is the TV producer for both the Baltimore Orioles and the Washington Nationals. Well, they have hired Phillies 94 WIP radio color commentator Kevin Franzen as their color analyst on TV to replace F.P. Santangelo, who was fired following the end of the 2021 season. So he would be alongside TV play-by-play announcer Bob Carpenter. See you later, right? So he's alongside that guy now. F.P. Santangelo, the way we all heard in the report, he was dismissed from his duties following the 2021 season. Technically, his contract wasn't renewed, but he was fired. If they wanted to bring him back, they would have easily brought him back. So he basically was fired. He had this leave of absence for a while in the 2021 season. Of course, he was dealing with some sexual harassment, allegations, which eventually turned out to be false. But he was kind of dealing with some issues. And now he is gone, right? So Kevin Franzen takes his place. I did like F.P. Santangelo for a while, but I definitely lost respect for him after he unfollowed Bryce Harper on Instagram, right? Kind of a childish act there. So I don't think people really notice that, but, leaves the Nationals, they won a World Series, and he still can't get over the fact that Harper left, even after winning a World Series. I think it's pretty pathetic, but Kevin Franzen, best of luck in D.C., man. I'm definitely going to miss hearing you on the radio. And also this past week, week. Some good news. Major League Baseball and the Players Association plan to meet on Monday, which will be the second meeting that they've had since the lockout started on December 2nd. The Players Association is set to make a counter proposal to the MLB's last proposal. So the players will be making a counter proposal. Still no need to worry about the start of the season. I want to keep stressing that. Still no need to worry about the start of the season, right? We still got plenty of time. It is only January 22nd. I do think that it's a possibility spring training could definitely be delayed. There's no doubt about that. I mean, they're definitely moving at a snail's pace. I wish there was more sense of urgency, but let me just say this. I mean, the players, I honestly think the players might have more to lose here. They want to keep playing, of course, right? They don't want another season of prorated salaries like they had in 2020. They have to get their money. They have to get their money, right? And the owners, of course, are holding out because, as I said, they lose a lot of revenue now. They can make it up if they get a deal that benefits them, but it's no guarantee. And also, they don't want all. If there's no games, they get no money, and they actually do make a decent amount of money off of spring training revenue. The players do not get paid during spring training. It's very, very interesting, actually. They do not get paid during spring training. I actually didn't know that. I actually found that out, fairly recently from baseball guy Sean, who told me that. But I did not know that. It needs to be an agreement in place. I mean, there's just a tremendous amount of pressure. Tremendous. Well, it's not even February yet. And of course, I wish that they would get it done sooner rather than later. But I am not worried. I am not worried. The outrage from the fans. I mean, this would be. They don't have the world events going on like they had 2 years ago to distract us. This is very big deal for them. They need to get this done. And also yesterday, January 21st, Phillies Hanson Media celebrated a big milestone: 3 years. Hard to believe it's been 3 years of Phillies Hotstone Media. I'd like to thank everyone for their continued support along the way. It's hard to believe. I just can't believe that I've been doing this for 3 years now. It just doesn't seem real. And I've really been kind of doing it for 3.5 years. I kind of had a little podcasting gig going on probably like 4 or 5 months even before I started this. So I'd like to thank everyone so much for all the support. Of course, now I'm on, the track for year number 4. So in a year from now, I'll be sitting here, hopefully, God willing, I'll be sitting here, talking about my 4-year anniversary. But every year it just gets more and more exciting. Thank you all so much for all your supports. So it's hard to believe. 3 years. I just can't believe it. 3 years. So thank you all. And also the Phillies have brought back, no surprise, radio play-by-play announcer Scott Franzke on a 1-year deal. Right? We all love to hear his voice. He has that summer voice, Phillies baseball, great guy. You can't think of Phillies baseball without thinking of Scott Franzke and, of course, Larry Anderson, right? His color, analysis on the radio, right? Of course, Kevin Franzen got to fill on a lot. When Larry Anderson, of course, he's trying to retire, he's trying to kind of get out of it. Really just love listening to those two guys, right? I don't really listen to radio, of course, that much, but when I do, I really enjoy listening to them. And also, just a friendly reminder, Phillies Hanson Media is not just available on YouTube on the MP4 video style. You could also find me on a podcast version, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and if you want to listen to an Anchor, you can. All link in the description below. Please go check those out. But the only place you can find me, with MP4 video is YouTube. So guys, that is it for this week's weekly update. Hopefully a new CBA is reached, right? I don't expect it to be agreed on Monday, but they're making progress. The pressure is on. Nothing's getting affected. They're not losing money right now, but they will soon be losing money. So they need to get something done, and they will. I'm not going to make any promises to say that spring training will not be delayed. I definitely think it's a possibility, but there's no way the season is getting delayed or anything like that. I mean, it's going to be a full season. I'm not worried about it. So guys, if you watch this video, please subscribe if you have not yet. Please share the bell. Please like this video, comment on this video, share this video. Check out the social media link in the description section. Phillies Hotstone Media, Instagram, TikTok, Instagram. Follow me on Twitter at @PHotstoneMedia. Call or text 267-225-3292. Email me, phillieshatstonemedia@gmail.com. So guys, thanks so much for watching. I'm Luke, and I'll talk to you later. I'll see you guys.